Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on the Divine Messages podcast. My name is Karina, and I am a psychic medium out of Calgary, Alberta. Today is extra special for a couple of reasons. The first one being that today is the 100th episode for the podcast. It has been 3 years that I have been pouring out my heart and soul into every single episode. And after the 14th episode, I actually thought that I was done. But here I am at the 100th episode, and in complete shock that I took it this far. Now, the second reason that today is extra special is that I have an amazing guest coming on here with me. This person is someone that I deeply admire, respect, and cherish. So without further ado, everyone, please help me welcome my husband, Nicholas, to the podcast. Hi, Nick.
Hello, my love, and hello, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming on here. Finally, after all this time, we're actually doing this. I've wanted to have you on here numerous times, but, life just happened and we've been so busy, right?
Correct. And I wanted to save it for the 100th episode because I am special.
Oh, is that why?
Okay.
Why? Yeah. Okay. That could be very well it. But I also believe in divine timing, and what a perfect day for you to come on here. Can you actually believe that today is the 100th episode?
No, I can't really. It's been crazy. It's been a long time, and you've been working really hard at this. And this is a big day for you and for us.
Thanks, honey. Because I do dedicate a lot of my time and effort into helping people, and I started this podcast 3 years ago because I really wanted to help the people out there that were like me and had no direction and didn't know what to do with energy, and for the sensitive people out there and for the parents that have kids that are sensitive. I wanted to be able to reach many, many people, and I actually didn't think that I would do 3 years of this. I mean, I thought I was only going to do a couple episodes, and here I am, 100th episode. I'm actually still trying to wrap my head around all of it.
Well, congratulations. You did well.
Thanks.
Welcome, babe.
So, Nick, everybody really knows who you are. I've talked about you so many times in many different episodes, and I have been quite open about our lives and the things that we've experienced, not only in this psychic medium world, but the things that we've experienced over the years with our children, in our relationship. And everybody does, I'm sure, pretty much know you very, very well after this podcast. And I thought that it would be interesting to have you on here to share your perspective of what it's like behind the scenes living with a psychic medium, because I think there's a lot of people out there like me who are very sensitive, who are struggling with their own spouses, trying to get them to understand that they may be feeling different, or they're an empath and they're sensitive and maybe their spouse doesn't understand. So I think having you on here, opening that doorway for everybody to understand that it wasn't all easy at the beginning. I know we've been together for 25 years, and I did always talk about spirits and stuff when we were first together. But when I actually opened up saying, hey, guess what? I'm going to be working as a Reiki master and a medium, I'm pretty sure you thought I had lost my marbles. Is that true?
Well, I didn't think you lost your marbles, but I really didn't understand it. And it's not that I didn't want to believe in it or, understand it, but a lot of people think that this kind of thing is crazy or, I guess against religion or, any of these types of things. And people really just need to believe or see something that will tell them that, oh my God, this is really true, and this is real and, you're the real deal. And there's no question about that. And, I've supported you forever, and I knew you had something. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to, help you, help others. And yeah, at first I had no clue what Reiki was or, and you had always had I guess, how would you say, not the sixth sense, but you always had that mother's intuition, or you always said things to us, in our mm-hmm. whole lives about, I don't trust that, or don't drive this way, or don't take that route home, or, and you'd just be like, okay, why? And it was always like, there's a bigger meaning for it. And, that's the kind of stuff that this really is, on top of, all the, the mediumship and things that you do as well. Mm-hmm. And yeah, at first it was crazy. And I remember back, when our oldest child was in, I think, grade 1, and you came to me every day and said, there's this kid that walks to school with somebody every single day, and there's something going on. I don't know what it is, but that kid is hurting. He's either being, abused, or something's not right. So you decided that you were going to take bigger steps and try to help this child. And I remember one day in our garage, you said to me, I'm going to help this child, and this is not where I stop. I'm going to help so many people. And here you are.
You're making me cry. Actually, I do remember that time because I took a huge chance and a risk, thinking, you know, we were new to the school and I'm like, the principal's going to think I'm absolutely crazy, but I didn't care.
Yep,
I marched over to the principal one day and I said, look, I've got to tell you this. I can't explain how I know. I just know that something is happening to this child. And thank God they did something about it and he was saved. And from there, that's where the journey really began. I remember going and seeking out that psychic. Do you remember when I went to, I think it was Bragg Creek?
Yeah,
and I went and had this psychic reading because I was just a real mess. And I was going through a lot of old trauma that had resurfaced after our second son. Do you remember when I called you on that drive home and I said, you know what, Nicholas, I can't explain this to you, but what she did for me tonight is something I'm going to do for a lot of people. And it was in that moment that I just knew. I knew that there was something bigger that was going to happen in my life. I couldn't explain it. I didn't know what it was. But something was just so crystal clear that night. I knew that I was going to help a lot of people. And so from there, I went and saw a couple healers and I, you know, have explained it in other...
You went through a lot of shit.
I went through...
Am I allowed to say shit?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. You went through a lot of stuff.
I did. It was a really difficult time, not only for myself, but on you and on our children. I was just really lost and I wasn't expecting old trauma to resurface like that. And it was extremely difficult. And so I went to try to seek some help. And that's how Reiki fell into my lap. And I remember saying to you too, like, you know, Nick, I can't explain this. I just need you to trust me. And at that time, remember, we were like broke. And I was like, I need to buy a massage table. I need to take this course. And it was expensive. And so I knew that investing that kind of money at that time wasn't something that was part of our equation. And I just remember saying to you, I need you to trust me. I can't explain this. I feel it. I have to do this. And I want to share something that I think might help a lot of other partners out there. When I came home and I had done my Reiki level 1 and 2, I was so pumped. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to get practicing. And I don't know if you remember this or not, but there was one day that I had to do distance Reiki and I was doing it on one of my friends in Florida. And I actually had a pillow or a teddy bear, I can't remember what it was, on the floor. And you walk in, I've got my eyes closed, I'm on my knees, like putting my hands all over the pillow and the teddy bear. And I remember the look on your face. You were like, okay, I'm just going to walk into the kitchen. You left me be.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh my God, my husband thinks I'm nuts. He thinks I'm nuts.
I never thought you were nuts. But
come on, that was a little weird,
right? It was out
right?
of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'm sure it is a lot for a lot of people. And like I said, it's not because I don't believe in it. I'm very spiritual and you know, believe in a lot of things and trust. But yeah, it was like, what's going on here?
I mean, I can understand. You walk in, I'm like working on a pillow and I've got my eyes closed, and it does look witchy. I mean, it does.
Yeah.
But I remember starting and I started doing it by donation. I started, you know, I just wanted to go out and start working on people and helping people. And I just remember saying to you, okay, I think I've got to do this for like the rest of my life. And you're like, okay, that's good. You go ahead, you do you. And I think it was hard to understand all the things. These people started coming out of like nowhere. And I was working, remember, in the basement at that one house. Yeah. And I'd be like, okay, here comes another person for help. And we'd go down the stairs into my little healing room that we set up. And there I was starting to work nonstop, right?
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah.
So after doing the Reiki and all these people started to come to our house and I was doing session after session, well, then that's when things started to get a bit weird. Do you remember? I was like, oh my God, the energy in here, all these spirits started to come around. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was getting really freaked out myself. Like, what were you thinking?
Well, I mean, we've always talked about this as you growing up as a little girl in a so-called haunted house. And
oh, it was haunted. Let's go there. It was haunted.
I've been there. I remember.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I always believed that that's true. So I didn't think you were crazy, you know, but I didn't realize that you were going to be a medium.
And that I could talk to them.
And that you could talk to people, you know, like it was, I believe that she could, you know, clear a house or she could do any of these things because there is, you know, ghosts or spirit or whatever that's there. And, you know, don't want to leave, or or whatever, for whatever reason. But yeah, it was crazy for you to start having that happen to you on a regular basis.
And I remember what really, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to go back to the time when your grandfather got sick, and you were really close to him as well as myself. And after he passed, within, I think it was a day or two, he came to me, and I thought, oh my God, I don't know how to tell the family this. I felt like they're going to think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And when we were in Nova Scotia, we were at your dad's condo, and I said, look, I got to say something to your dad. I'm like, I can't deny this. Like, he's coming at me so strong. And so I ended up going to your dad and saying, like, okay, please don't be upset with me, but this is what I see. And instead of being upset, it was what brought him great comfort. And I knew that the messages were so spot on. He said to me, he's like, Karina, nobody could ever possibly know what I did in that room with my dad. And I said, I know. I said, but he told me. And from that day too, by the way, your dad became my biggest fan.
He sure did.
But for you, I remember wanting to say something to you. And I think I had maybe once approached you and you just weren't ready. You were like, no, I can't do it. And I was like, okay. And it shut down. And then I got all weirded out because I thought, oh my God, maybe he doesn't actually believe me. That was my thought.
I don't think it was that I didn't want to believe you. I just probably wasn't ready for the whatever was coming.
Yeah.
I think that would be more it than obviously not believing in you or thinking you're crazy.
I could understand that.
Because you did tell me something once that
was in the hot tub, because we
Yeah.
were sitting there, and it was 6 months later. I'll never forget.
It was a long time later.
Yeah. And I said, we got into the hot tub at the backyard, and we had just had, poured a glass of wine, and we got right in, and I went, oh no, he's right here with me. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I remember starting to panic, thinking like, oh my God, he's here and I don't know what to do. And I kept getting the message like, say something, Karina, just say something. And I thought, oh my God, he's going to be upset. And it was supposed to be like our downtime and whatnot. And he was so persistent, I couldn't stop. And I said, Nicholas, please don't be upset with me, but I have something to tell you. And you're like, okay. And I said, your grandfather's here and he's got to talk to you. And I told you a bunch of things that he had said. And I'll never forget when you just started to cry and you said, Karina, there is no way that you could possibly know what I said to him that day. And I said, that's when you know it's real, Nick.
No, that's right. And you also told me that I had the dog tags with his ashes.
I did.
Yeah, you don't remember?
No, I don't.
Yeah, well, we were sitting in the hot tub at the end and you said, you wear his dog tag, around your neck. And
okay, don't make me cry too.
and every day you kiss it.
Oh, I didn't. I don't remember that, hon, because when I channel, I don't remember what I'm saying, right?
And I did that in private.
Oh my God, I didn't know. And that's when I remember feeling a huge shift in you. Sorry, we're getting all emotional here, people. We can't help it. We've never really sat down and had this conversation. But it was in that moment, honestly, in my soul, I felt like a huge shift in you understanding what I did.
Totally. Yeah.
And I tell everybody, I'm like, it was that moment that I channeled your grandfather, that you became my biggest fan. You went off and you tell everybody what I do and who I am. And it's something that, thanks, son.
Yeah.
But it took that, right, for you to have your own experience with it, to understand how real it is and how amazing it can be if you're open to it. And not that you were actually open to it. I kind of forced you to be open to it, but it was time.
Yeah.
And it was after that experience that whenever I said anything to you about our children being bugged by spirits or ghosts, or I had to clear the house, it was, you just jumped on it right away with me. You'd be like, okay, I'd grab the sage and I'm like, come with me. And there you were with the sage and the lighter coming right behind me to clear the spirits out of the house, because I think you actually started to get it. And sometimes that's all it takes with somebody. And I have a lot of people who come to me that are extremely skeptical and angry sometimes that they even are there and they don't know why they're there. And that's how spirit works, though. They send the people, and when it's the time, it's the time. And I think a lot of men struggle with trying to understand how this all works. And that's kind of why I'm happy to work with more of the males out there to get them to understand that this isn't weird. Half of their wives are probably empaths and intuitive. And it would be nice to have a lot of people be supported, I guess, maybe in that way, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I loved that you started to really be so understanding of this. And it was really special to me to have that backup because this work is that difficult. And I remember, I think this is probably going back like 8 or 9 years, I did that big group reading at the YMCA and it was recorded. And when we got back to the house, my girlfriend was over and we decided to, I don't even remember. Do you remember like if we just sat back and watched it or you were doing something like editing it or something? You know, do you remember what I'm talking about at all?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. I was like, oh my God.
No, I just don't remember the after part of it. Like,
I just remember putting it on and for some reason, I think you might have been like downloading it or doing something. I'm sorry, but technically challenged here. But I just remember it playing and you started watching it and you're like, oh my God, you put the laptop down, got up and left the room and you were sobbing. And I said, are you okay? Like what's happening? And you're like, I don't know how you do this because...
I probably blocked it out because I was crying or something. Yeah. That's how it goes. Like all the other men out there, they probably don't want to cry. Well, Karina makes people cry. It's the way it goes.
You can go ahead and tell them your nickname for me right now. So yeah. Nick gave me that nickname many years ago because it's so weird.
Well, I'd come home from work and there'd be like buckets of tissues and then I'd be like, what's going on? And like, oh yeah, that was a tough one, you know, and you went through a box or two of tissues in a session or whatever. And I was just like, wow. And I think, you know, it was one of my buddies at one point, he came over and had just a quick, you know, prop 2 or session or whatever. And he came out crying and I was just like, holy crap. Like, you know, like what is she doing to these people in a jokingly way? But I knew obviously you were giving them what they needed. And, you know, it's not always easy. And when you do get that closure or that, so when you do get the validation, it's emotional and it shows you that your loved one is still with you and all the things that you think that are happening in your house that, you know, couldn't be happening or happening and it is your loved one that's doing it or, you know, all these types of things, you know, like it's the next level.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand it at all. And people will walk into my healing room because I love that room. It's so safe. It's very comfortable. It has good energy. But people walk in, sit down, and they go, oh my God, I'm starting to cry. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm like, it's okay. This is a healing space and I'm here to help you. And so, yes, that's what happens. A lot of people are emotional because they do get that validation of things that nobody could possibly know. And here's the funny thing. I actually had this conversation with someone yesterday. This lady came to me the other day and she said, you know, I ended up getting your number from somebody because I didn't want to message you on Facebook because I didn't want you to see my profile. And I was like, fair enough. I don't care if I know your first name or not. People have told me, oh, I made a fake name and stuff. I said, I don't really care what your name is because actually I forget your name when you sit down. All I'm hearing is your loved ones coming in because they sent you. It's out of your hands. It's out of their hands, really. And I think when people come in and they do go incognito because they think maybe I Googled them and like, you can't Google this stuff. There's no way.
No, there is no way.
Impossible. But yet we've been given such a bad name as a psychic. Do you know how long, Nick? Like, did I not like hide from this for many years? Even when I was doing this work, I didn't want people to know who I was or what I was doing.
Yeah.
3 years ago when the podcast went out, I was so full of fear, like, oh my God, people are going to actually know what I do now. And that was really tough for me. Do you remember me saying to you, like, oh my God, are you okay with this? And I asked you, are you okay with this? This is I'm going to be outing myself here.
Yeah.
Because I did stay hidden. And yes, I have a Facebook page and an Instagram and I do have a website, but I don't advertise it like that. I'm like, I kind of hide. And when the podcast came out, I said, all right, that's it. I'm just going to be who I am. And I'm happy that I did that because I love to be able to give the validation to people because it is that real. And you can't make this shit up. And I am going to say that.
No, you can't make this shit up.
You know, and I also think it's important that you're on here to share what it's like behind closed doors after I do a session, because I think I work back to back all day long. I started working 4 days a week now, but I used to work 5 days a week doing this.
You're kidding yourself. You work 7 days a week.
Okay, I work a lot.
And I don't mean that in terms of sessions. It's you're on your phone 24/7 trying to help people, and and being helped yourself, by your people. Like it's a big circle.
I know that you and the kids sometimes give me crap for when I'm on my phone all day, but I have a lot of clients that I'm very blessed to have, but there's a lot of people that will message me right till bedtime asking for, I know, but asking for help. And I'm one of those people, I can't turn them away, Nick. Like it's not me. And I know my best friend always tells me, Karina, you should just have like an automatic reply. I'll get back to you when I can. I said, but that's not me.
It's not personal.
It's not. And even when we go on holiday, I do put my phone away a bit, but if someone messages me, I'm on it. I can't leave someone hanging, and I have a huge responsibility. And I think I'm exhausted all the time. I know I say that to you. I know I tell a few of my friends that, but I don't think people realize what it's really like behind closed doors. And that's something that I'm okay if you share some of that. I think it's important that people do know the truth about what I do, because I don't think they get it.
Yeah, so I mean, the toll that this takes on you when you do sessions, and obviously there's hard sessions and, easier sessions. You're not just a medium, you're a healer, you're a helper, I don't know, you wear a lot of hats. And, when you have a session or a week or a day that's really tough, you are exhausted. Like, I look at you afterwards and you can't even see straight sometimes. Like,
True.
You're that exhausted, but you still, do your mommy duties and your wife duties around the house and, try to keep things going. But you are physically and mentally exhausted. And, it isn't easy, that you're always run down, and I shouldn't say run down, but tired or, mentally strained. But, after some of the sessions that you've had, I know you don't tell me much, but you'll say that was a tough one. This family lost their daughter, son, whatever. And I'm the one that's channeling it. And I have a really hard time not crying with them, but I'm here to deliver a message. And afterwards is when it comes to you. Like when they're gone home and it's the end of the day and we're chatting and you're like, that was so hard. Like, I don't know how I do this.
And that's when I break down.
Yeah. And I don't know how this is my job, but I was chosen for this and I have to keep going. But yeah, it's super hard on you. And some of the things that you deal with that are just things that other people couldn't even imagine, the pain that some people are going through. And yeah, I couldn't imagine. And you take it all every day. And yeah, I don't know, you're superhuman.
Well, I don't know about superhuman, but I will say I know that this is my purpose. I've never been more sure of anything. And yet I've wanted to quit so many times because I know the toll that it takes on you guys and the toll that it takes on me and on my heart.
And I've told you many times, like, just stop. Take a break.
You tell me that.
I don't mean that in a negative way, because I want you to help people. But I mean, sometimes you get to a point where you need help and it's tough on you. It's tough on us, as a family. But you somehow get the strength and the spirit to keep going. And this too shall pass. Tomorrow's another day. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
And you do, but there are some days that, yes, you want to quit.
I do.
Because of the things that you have to deal with and taking everybody's pain and suffering on your shoulders to help them. I can't imagine.
I do give everybody everything I've got, my entire heart and soul, because I actually care that much. And that's what's difficult, because that's when I'm drained. And that's why I do take these little mini holidays. And, for the people that follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, and I do post that I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. But I have to go do these things to
recharge.
Not only to recharge, Nick, but when I'm here in our city, like we go out to, our son's soccer game and I'm running into clients at the soccer dome, and I can't just go out in public sometimes and feel like I can, let's say it this way, I feel like I need to hide from people in a way, because I know that when I go away, I get to just be me and nobody has a clue as to what I do. And when I go recharge and come back with that It's like almost like going incognito. I get to go and be somebody else in that moment for 4 days or whatever it is, and not listen to spirits and not listen to, yes, you're right, the world's problems, because I do have a lot on my shoulders. And that in itself can be suffocating. I do cry a lot behind closed doors. That a lot of people don't know that. I do have a lot on me. And I think, again, like what you said, I can't be emotional with my clients because they're with me for them to, I'm their rock. I'm the one who's supposed to hold it together, deliver the messages. But the minute that some of them leave, and it happens a lot, I crack. I think what makes it the most difficult for me, Nick, is that it's because I'm a mom. And when I deal with people who have lost their children, that is the hardest thing on my soul. And it makes me love our kids even harder. And I do pamper them, and I know I'm soft on them, but I'm soft on them for a reason. I know that sometimes you may think that I'm a little too soft on them. However, if you saw the things that I saw on a daily basis, it's like nothing else in the world matters. No school, no chores, nothing. I want to just love these little humans that we were gifted because of what I see. And I think that might be hard for a lot of people to understand why I'm so soft on our kids, but that's why, right? I see so many terrible things, and it just makes me love our kids even harder.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing for me is to deal with death on a daily basis all day long for so many hours per day. At the end of my day, that's why I bug you so much. Let's go on this holiday. Let's live, because I watch so many people that never got to do this. And they didn't get that opportunity. And I keep thinking, I don't ever want to have that regret. And so, yeah, I live a little bit of a crazy way. Like I want to just travel and enjoy life and go to dinners and enjoy our family.
Well, you married the right person.
Thank God, because you're, been doing it for 25 years with me. And I mean, that I really just need that, I think, too. I just feel bad that there's so many days that I don't have enough for our family, but I'm pulled in so many directions all day long. And I know you are too, because you're in charge of a pretty big company, and that in itself is a lot of pressure and stressful, and then you got to come home and be dad. And I think sometimes just between the two of us, we're both so drained and emotionally spent that we don't have a lot of extra energy, really. And that's why we travel so much. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And I think you also having to deal with me all the time, having those, I don't want to say breakdowns, because it's not really a breakdown. It's more just like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed with so much on my shoulders that I say to you, let's go. Can we just go? Let's just go away. And you notice when we're away somewhere, I am like light. I'm happy. I'm carefree. I get to just be me.
Yep.
And I'm sure that's the part that you like instead of the, I'm so tired, I can't do this, because I have a lot of responsibility. And yes, I could say no to a lot of people.
Yeah, I know you could, but that's just not who you are, and I wouldn't want you to do that.
I can't. I don't think I ever will to the day I die.
I don't think our kids would want you to do that either. The sacrifice of your tired days and emotional days is worth it to help others for sure.
I think my biggest fear when I started the podcast was that our kids were actually going to find out what I did, because they really weren't aware of it. And I remember going to our oldest son. Remember that a couple years ago, he had his friend over, and I said, this is something that I do or whatever. And he goes, Mom, I already know what you do. And I said, how do you know what I do? He goes,
I Googled you.
I Googled you. I was like, oh my God. So now we have to have the talk. And it wasn't that talk. It was I'm a medium and talk to dead people talk.
Don't think
it was uncomfortable. I know.
Yeah.
And that was hard, because I just didn't want them to feel like I was weird. But I guess that's kind of all they've known is Mom walking around with a feather and smudging the house and having, strangers come to our house all day, every day since they were little. So I guess it is their normal. But again, that fear sets in, like, am I going to put fear into them? Are they going to hate what I do? Like, it's hard to come out like that to your kids, because you just always want to be the best parent, and you think, am I doing something wrong with doing this?
No, you're doing nothing wrong.
I just hope someday they'll really understand it, and why Mom has nothing. Actually, I shouldn't say that I have nothing left. I really pull it together at the end of the day. Just like today, I worked all morning. I had, a bunch of clients, and then I It is spring break, so I took our youngest out with his buddy and went to the craziest inflatable park. Like, it was so wild in there. The energy so intense, and yet I pulled it together and wanted to make sure that he's taken care of and that he's getting everything he needs too. So I do somehow pull it together, right? Like,
Yeah, you sure
I don't
do.
know how I do it. I say that to you all the time, Nick. I don't know how I do this some days. I really, truly don't.
No, I know you don't.
But
I don't know how you do some days.
Really,
Really?
I love that you understand.
Of course I
And that's why
understand.
you're on here, because I don't.
Well, if I didn't understand, I wouldn't be allowed on.
Exactly. Shut it.
Yeah. No, I do understand, and yeah, it's what you're doing is special, and you are helping so many people, and so many people need you, and likewise you need them. Like, it's a win-win for everyone. But yeah, what you do is unbelievable.
Were you weirded out when I first decided to say that I was a medium, to tell your friends or your coworkers or anything? Honestly, because I don't care if you
Not
tell
really.
me that.
My friends know. To tell the owners of the company I was working for at the time that, one of them was against this kind of stuff. Not against it, sorry, just not religious, not spiritual in any way. And he wouldn't really get it. The other owner did. And I remember him making jokes about, Reiki and stuff or whatever,
Yeah.
not in a way, but it was like that he didn't really understand it, or he didn't really get it, and then as time went on and you continued down the path, obviously it was easy, but yeah, I've always talked highly to my buddies, and, and shared with them things, and they'd come back with questions like, oh my God, does she know that you went out last night, or you stayed 3 hours after the golf round with the bar with your buddies or whatever? I said, no, guys, it's not like that. They're like, how do you live with someone like that? You can't get away
Have
with
people
anything.
said that?
Yeah, one of my friends said that to me or whatever, and how do you live with someone she knows your every move, or she can what
weird.
socks you're wearing today and stuff. I'm like, oh my, it's not like that at all. Like I said, she'll turn it on and she'll turn it off when she needs to. It's not like, she's meeting you and she knows all your faults or stuff. I said, it's not like,
Or yours.
or you, yeah. I said,
I mean.
Sure. I said, it's not like that, but I think a lot of people maybe think that it's that way as well. It's not just the spiritual enders talking to the other side, or, a loved one. It's also, what does she know about me? And I think it intimidates people, that
Yes.
I'm serious.
I know it does.
It's unfortunate because it's not
yeah.
like that. But, I think some people may be, withdrawn because, they feel that you're reading their mind, or, things like that, right? So, and yeah, and that's not what it is, and so, but yeah, I brag about you every day to whoever will listen.
Well, I know that people do assume that when they meet me. They're like, we went to one of your Christmas parties and I got to meet some new people that had come on board to the company. And I just remember shaking their hand and them looking at me with fear in their eyes. And I'm like, look, I'm here to have a drink and have some Christmas dinner. I really don't care what you
Not
did
reading
behind
you,
closed doors.
Yeah.
I really don't want to see that. And it is, I think, weird for some of our friends and stuff. Our good friends really know that I'm not like that. But the people that are acquaintances and that just start to hang out with us, they're like, oh my God, is she reading me? Like, they are afraid to look me in the eye. And I'm like, yes, I see through eyes. I talk about it in all the episodes. The eyes are the window to the soul. Yes, but that does not mean I'm looking at your soul right then and there. We're not in a session.
Yeah.
It's not right to do that.
Yeah,
it's intrusive.
that's right.
And I do respect people's privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably why I like to travel so much, because when we do go away, nobody knows what I do. So they're not afraid to hang out with me. You meet someone on vacation or a new couple or something, they don't know who I am and what I do. So they're not afraid to actually have conversations and stuff. And here it's kind of tricky,
Sure. But whatever, it's, yeah, there'll always be that, right? And you've always been strong with critics and things. It is what it is. And yeah, I mean, you've come to me many times and said that people are mean to you, or you can see that they're giving you really negative energy. Even in some of the sessions that you do, or parties with, multiple people, There's usually always one person that's sitting with their arms crossed and, just trying to be that, this isn't real and whatever. And those are usually the people that end up having the best reading and completely flipping the other way. Mm-hmm. You've had people contact you by email, trying to save you, like you're some kind of evil person or whatever, try to get you away from Reiki or being a medium in some way. But you've had to put up with a lot.
I would say that I have taken a lot. I have taken a lot of negativity from a lot of people, and I would say that I've had to grow pretty thick skin, because how many times have I cried about it and said, oh my God, they hate me. They think what I'm doing is evil. I've had some good friends that I've lost, and some parents of my friends that have thought that I've been doing some dark black magic and stuff. And I'm like, that's not me. I know that exists out there. Yes, it does. Is it real? Sure. Yeah, it is. But that's not how I work. I work with love and light only, and I just try to help people live their best lives. And I think that people just assume the worst, and it's hard on me. It's really, really, really hard on me, but I still do it. You want to know something funny? And like you just mentioned about groups and stuff, there is always one or two in the group that's firing negative energy at me. And I come home and I go, oh my God, Nick, that was so hard, because I had to work extra hard to get past that to help them. I just actually did a group reading last Saturday, and I went to the reading, and as soon as this one girl walked in, I went, oh, yep, here we go. I'm going to get fired at. And I could feel it, like she was sitting with her arms crossed, just gunning me down. And of course, Spirit goes right to her because she needed the help the most. And she was pretty angry at me, actually. And I thought, oh no, like this is going to be a tough one. And I'm still going to do my job, though. Like, I have to just deliver what I'm hearing. So I'm going and giving her all this information. And so the mom actually comes to me at the very end of this group reading, and she says, oh my goodness, Karina, I'm so sorry. And I said, what? And she came to me after and said, my two daughters were actually whispering, because she actually videotaped that whole group reading. And she said the one that was actually like the most negative had turned to her sister and said, well, let's just see if this girl's real. If she's real, she's going to bring up my knee. She got up to go to the bathroom, and apparently the mom said that when she came back, it was less than 5 minutes later. And I was like, who's having knee surgery? Who's going through this? And it's because she was like, oh my God, how did she know? But people try to test me like that. They really want to find fault in what I'm doing. They want me to be wrong. And not everybody. Some people at the groups and stuff are so open, and they're there because they want the messages and they believe in this so much. But there is always someone that wants me to be at fault and to find that this is fake and it's not real, and that never happens. And then they end up being the biggest believers. And it's funny how that happens, right?
It never ever happened where it ended up staying negative, and that they didn't get some kind of confirmation that they wanted to change their opinion. Like, a lot of people think these mediums and psychics on TV are a gimmick or a joke, or not a joke, but, all for TV, or you're the real deal. And the things that you give to people are absolutely unbelievable that nobody could ever possibly know. It's not guessing that you had 3 brothers and one of them's tall and one of them's short and one of them maybe had a heart attack. Oh wait, no, it's not a heart attack. It was somewhere near his stomach. And like that, some of that stuff I've seen it too. And I'm just like, this is, I could see how people would think that it's not real, and it's, but it's unbelievable that the things that people have gotten from you, that it's life-changing for them.
Well, it's like I say to all my students, years ago when I started doing this work, because I was treated so poorly by so many people, and because I lost a lot of friends and everything because of this, I said to my guides and to the spirit world, I said, if I'm going to do this work, yes, I will accept this, because I fought this for years. Since I was little, I've been able to see them. But I said, if I do this work, I want you to be specific, because if you're not, I will quit and I will go back to retail where I was really happy. And I said, you need to be that specific, because I don't want to look stupid. And I don't want, not even to look stupid, forget about that. I didn't want people to question it and to think that it's fake, or I'm, imagining these things, or I'm pulling at straws. Like, I wanted them to believe that the other side really does exist. And for me, that was something that I really made that strong point and set that boundary with spirit. I said, okay, let's go. But if you're not specific, I quit. And so that's why when I do these sessions, it can be so specific down to what people are wearing, what their favorite food was. I do a lot of what I call teleporting, and I've talked about it many times on the podcast with other students. But teleporting to me is where all of a sudden I'm like in a reading and I jump into someone's living room from the past, from like their house in the 70s that they grew up in. It's wild stuff like that. That's the shit you can't make up. And that's what I ask for as validation from their loved ones, right?
Yeah, you do. You nailed it.
So now that you've kind of given a little bit of insight into our world and what it's like to live with a crazy psychic medium, I will let you go ahead, if you would like, to share some funny things about me that maybe people don't know. And go easy. That's all I'm going to say.
On. I mean, without sharing personal details, I used to laugh when COVID kind of came, and you would start doing readings on FaceTime and obviously on the phone, because obviously we couldn't be with people. Mm-hmm. I'd leave for work and you'd be pouring a coffee and in your robe and slippers heading into your healing room, no makeup on, just chilling in your chair waiting to call your client.
Those were phone sessions. Reading. I was going to say, let's be clear. I don't do that for FaceTime. You would be the
person probably not wearing pants on a video call, but
that
definitely maybe put some hair and makeup together.
I do. I try.
But I mean, if you're doing FaceTime, for sure.
Yeah.
And that your podcast is held in your studio walk-in closet in our bedroom. And the clothes give you nice quiet sounds. And I usually have to take the kids out of the house and take my son to a soccer field so that everything's quiet, lock up the dogs so that you can get your podcast out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's true.
It's true. I do record on the floor in my robe. Yeah. So yes, y'all know now. Yeah, it is my safe space. It's nice and quiet in here.
And you may be little and beautiful, but you're pretty feisty.
I knew that was coming.
It's probably more on a soccer mom kind of.
Whoa, it has nothing to do with soccer.
Well,
it's just
what?
Okay, no, go ahead. You go ahead.
I'm just saying that, sometimes, I've had to see people kind of holding you back from wanting to choke other parents in the crowd, for criticizing our kids or being disrespectful to our team.
I stand for injustice.
Yeah,
okay.
I may have once seen you at a DJ Jazzy Jeff concert do a super fly off a stage to protect my sister from getting hit with a bottle. You were standing up to some pretty big bodyguards, telling them to get out of your way, and they were telling me to keep my wife in check. So that was pretty fun. But there's been a lot of those incidents, but that was a highlight. And and one other thing that's not really funny is that you are a superhuman and a super mom. You work all day at this, and you work hard. And you still make our children feel loved and that they get the attention they need. Mm-hmm. They don't want for things. You take care of me. You're a wonderful wife, and in turn, we work together and sacrifice for the greater good. I
would say that, we are a pretty good team. We balance each other out. When you're down, I'm up, and vice versa. And
it's not always rainbows and butterflies.
Oh God, it's not.
But we don't fight. No, we don't tell each other we hate each other, and we respect each other. There may be some silence here and there, but for the most part, that's not who we are.
No, and for that's a gift. And I don't think I could do any of this I know I couldn't do this work if I didn't have you by my side, because some days I feel like I'm falling apart or I'm breaking, and you pick me right back up. And that's how I'm able to help all of these people out there, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, so you're welcome, everyone. Yeah, I love you.
Love you. Well, Nick, you really have no idea how grateful I am that you're here with me today. I've been working so hard on this podcast, as you know, and to have you come on here and be a part of something that I'm really so proud of this. That makes me so happy. You really have been my rock, my strength, and my everything, and I could not do any of this work without you. And I mean that on the days where I feel like I really can't possibly continue as a medium, You swoop in and you give me the strength to keep on going. And even when you have nothing left, you're still there for me. And that's something that I know is a gift. And don't think for a second that I don't notice all the things that you selflessly do for the boys and I. And I do believe that we found each other in this life after spending so many, and I say so many, past lives together, because you know that, right? We know.
Yeah.
And yeah, even through the ups and downs and the chaos of life, you've always been and will always be my best friend. And I wanted to make sure that you knew today how much I loved and appreciated you, because I do also know that in the blink of an eye, everything can change. And I will say to all of you out there, make sure that you tell your loved ones what you feel for them and how you appreciate them, because you just never know what tomorrow holds. So we want to thank you all so much for joining us today on the Divine Messages podcast. And I'm so grateful to you, Nick, for coming on here and being on my 100th episode. This means the world to me, and I'm so grateful to have all of these amazing listeners out there who decided that they wanted to follow along in our crazy lives and through our journeys. And I do want to make a special shout out to T, who started the podcast with me 3 years ago. She truly pushed me to start this podcast and put myself out there, and I really appreciate her help and her friendship. So again, Nick, thank you so much for coming on and, yes, outing me in many ways. But
You're most welcome. I took it easy on you, but I'm very honored. Thank you very much.
If you would like to book a reading with me, I can be reached at www.divinemessages.ca or on Instagram at divinemessages333 or at the Divine Messages Podcast. Please bear in mind that the perspectives and opinions represented in this podcast are based solely on the Divine Messages interpretations. We can in no way be held responsible for the actions of our followers.